I do not know why it mutes like that. I don't know what's muting. It's something to do with my headphones. Can you hear me now? I feel like a fucking Verizon guy. Now we're good? God damn it. Anyway. You might know this one, Richie. I'm not doing this opening note. And I won't sell it to you. Actually, I might be able to. I can't hit that note. Oh, yeah, I can't hit that note. I've never tried. I would have to practice it not live. Sure. Welcome to the jungle. We got fun and games. We got everything you want. How do we know the names? We are the people that can find whatever you may need. If you got the money, honey, we got your D's in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. She'll bring it to you. Sneeze. Ooh, I want to watch you bleed. Welcome to the jungle. We'll take it day by day. If you wanted your coat to bleed, but that's the price you pay. And you're a very sexy girl who's very hard to please. You can taste the bright lights, but you won't get them for free in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Feel my serpentine. Ooh. I want to hear you scream. Yeah, I can do that. That thing he does. I'm just 6 feet taller than he is. He's going, welcome to the jungle. Yes, I see you every day. You have to live like an animal in the jungle where we play. It's hunger for what you see. You take it eventually. You can have anything you want, but you better not take it from me in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Let you bring it to you. Knees. Ooh, I'm gonna watch you bleed. Yes, I did. When you're high, you never ever wanna come down. Shut down. Suck down. Suck down. No! That might be the highest note I can hit. Boom booty dum booty dum bow da bow da bow da bow da bow da bow da da boom. Da 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 boom boom. You know where you are? You're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Let you bring it to you. No. Snooze in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Chill my serpentine jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Let you bring it to you. Sneeze in the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. Let you bring it to you. It's gonna bring you down. Huh.
That was the joke I was making, Rachel, yes? Oh man, I just fucked up my tent. Give me a second. Crazy, but that's how it goes. Millions of people feeling disposed. Gravy, I don't know the words. It's not too late to learn how to love and forget how to hate. Mental wounds start healing, lies are been destroyed. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. Let's go. If you've never listened to the bass riff on this song, it's actually really fun. Listen to preachers. I've listened to fools. What the hell? I've listened to dropouts who make their own rules. What are you doing, phone? Why is everything fighting me tonight? That's not the button I'm hitting. And you live the role. Mental wounds still screaming, like really insane. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. Let's go. I know that things are going wrong for me. You gotta listen to my words. Yeah, yeah. Bowed out, bowed out. There is a reason that bass guitar riffs are played on a bass guitar and not a a wind instrument of any sort. And never get down. Never would I do that. That's a bitch happened. I just won't care. That's a wound still healing. Leaving me to blame. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. I'm going off the rails on a crazy train. Dagger do dagger do down 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 do dagger 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 do da do dagger 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 do down 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 dagger do dagger do dagger do dagger do da dagger do dagger do dagger do dagger do da do dagger 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 do down 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 down. Ooh, that'll do that. Thank you, Cliff. And the passion play crumbling away. I'm your source of self-destruction. Then it up with fear, looking darkness clear. Laid it on your desk construction. Text me, you will see. More is all you'll need. Dedicated to how I'm killing you. Going faster. Obey your master. Your life burns faster. Obey your master. Master. Master of puppets and pulling your strings. I do not understand how this is all happening. Nothing that is happening to me right now makes any sense. But it is all pissing me off. Fuck off, Griff. What I would like you to do is I'd like you to bend down and I'd like you to grab yourself by the knees and I'd like you to pull as hard as you can. And eventually your head will come popping out of that orifice. Like a breech birth. You just never left your mother's womb. I swear to God, I think some of you fucking people think I wouldn't walk across the room. Like if we were gathered together in a room and you started talking like this, I swear to God you think I wouldn't walk across the room and slap you across the face. Because what you would do about it is exactly nothing. You would look to the room like you had been assaulted, like you had been victimized. And the room would look to you like you're a whinging bitch. Now go dig out your granddad's old lost dictionary because your retarded father doesn't know any better than you do, and learn what whinge means. Bitch. I swear to fucking God. I swear to fucking God. Any room with any of you motherfuckers in it. I sit in that fucking Panera and that fucking Taco Bell all day long, and all I want to do is take my belt off and just tan your idiot fucking hides all day long for dumb shit you should have been beaten for as children. Any room that Griffin Douglas is in is made worse by his presence. I swear to fucking God. You fucking people do not deserve me. Grace is undeserving forgiveness. Forgiveness is unearned mercy. By God's grace, this planet isn't bombarded with every hellish nightmare. Because I'll be damned if you useless fucking monkeys don't deserve it. Not even higher fucking primates. Just useless, fling-shitting monkeys. And then you have the fucking temerity to type on your little fucking keyboards. Speak to me. 1,000 of you locked in a room with 1,000 keyboards couldn't come up with a cromulent sentence. And you want to come and talk to me about life in jail. Eat my ass. May it be rotten and putrescent, and may you choke. I'm fine, Mayorov. I am overstimulated, and everything is pissing me off. My skin is the wrong size, everything itches, and my ears are too small. And these fucking idiots who watch this trash that masquerades as comedy the last 20 years think that because they can repeat something that made them laugh, they are funny. And I am over it for one 24-hour span. There was a time when people like that Douglas, whatever his worthless name was, Griffin Drunglus, there was a time when monkeys knew better than to even look in the direction of their betters, let alone address them in public. Look yourself in the mirror if you have to ask whether I am or am not your better. I would have to be in a position of weakness to be bullied, Mayorov. Can't bully the bully. Can't bully me, I'm not in a position of weakness. And I'm afraid of neither man nor God. And I did tell the story for... while you were asking what happened. I'm fine. I am overstimulated. And I've just about had it with males. The males on this planet are just utter garbage. They're just utter garbage. Just trash. This fucking kid at Taco Bell, every time he talks to me, he goes, "Oh, hey, dog." And I just look at him, and I never respond to it. And I'm just waiting on him to ask me why. Because the why is when I was in middle school, the white kids who would talk like that got jumped by the black kids. That's why. I'm not your nigger. I grew up when being trash was something to be embarrassed and ashamed of. I am just absolutely embarrassed and ashamed of my socioeconomic peers. Lazy, stupid, slovenly. Oh, I have plenty to be ashamed of. I am ashamed and embarrassed of white people. Just disgusted. This generation of 20-somethings is just fucking worthless. You are running a 10-minute drive-through. You are not busting your ass. If you were running a minute 45 drive-through, you could say you were busting your ass. Just worthless. I wouldn't say that I'm a good human being. I'm just good at being a human being. It's the only thing I've ever known. Okay. I am obviously overstimulated and fussy, so I don't know how much show I have left in me tonight. I'm here. I'm glad to see you guys. A lot of the regulars came and hung out with me while we played 7 days. If I play more 7 days tonight, if I play more 7 days tonight, I don't think I'm gonna do it on camera. Yeah, I get a good night's sleep every night, Mira. Except last night, evidently. This is what I get, Rachie, for napping on Thursday during the ball game. This is why I don't nap. It's throwing my circadian all out. I'm fine, guys. I'm just tired and overstimulated. I know, Rachie. I spent the day in 7 days trying to do too many things at once. I kept thinking I'd hit my threshold, and then I'm like, okay, well, let's experiment with the threshold. And I need to just take the time, get the ammo, have the base ready, and then just do it. Yeah, I'm probably going to take some time alone here in a little bit. I didn't get to do the thing I wanted to do today because I was overstimulated, and part of what I wanted to do was overstimulating me. I think what I need to do is I need to look through my Audible wish list and I need to spend some credits in Audible. I think that's what I need to do. I think I need to. I think I need to. I think I'm at the end of this book, and I think I need to put it in my head to get back to reading. Hey, we had a great time. Even the I'm sure that it was hilarious for you listening to me literally punch my keyboard to try to survive that, and still largely surviving. I did survive it. So I'm sure there's a material lesson there in me punching the shit out of my keyboard in a desperate bid to survive. Just one more minute, just one more minute, just one more minute, when I should have just quit an hour before. I should have just quit the second I realized that my dumbass is too tired to remember what resources spawn in what zones. You need to stop. You're overstimulated, you're tired. Stop. I needed to stop then. So I'm sure there are material lessons. I'm sure it was funny. I'm sure it was a good hang. I'm sure as material goes, it'll be a fun watch in the future. I know when that shit happens to Simon and Apstro and Neebs and those guys, I laugh. And those are some of my favorite episodes. Like when Apstro gets so fucking mad at them during GTA that he slams his hand down on the table and it disconnects the GPU from his computer on he hits the table so fucking hard it vibrates his tower so much that it actually popped the GPU chip loose. And when that happened, it fucked up his computer and turned off Neeb's monitor. And so Neebs is playing blind, and all you can hear from his computer is the dead computer noise, and it's very funny. That's what's wrong with me. I was so right. I was wrong. I saw you put that in there. I heard me say that too, and I just moved right along. I was like, yep, I mean that. So I'm not in a bad mood. I'm just overstimulated and I'm autistic and I'm trying to show it because I've learned how to not mirror, I've just learned how to be better than a lot of my autistic behaviors, and I push myself too far. It's going to be great, Mayrov. It's already a peaceful and restorative night. Um, I appreciate your well wishes, but um, I'm not fishing. I'm just being performative in my outrage. I'm trying to sing myself calm, and this fucking guy just wants to get under my skin because he knows he can, and that's why music sucks now. That's why music sucks now. Why put any effort in if the people who are going to bother to go to the shows are going to treat you like that? Why even bother? That's why all the greats are retired or playing in tiny venue uh, outfits. And that's why everybody that's coming up now is lazy, low effort trash. You're gonna get the bad faith criticism one way or the other. You're gonna be called lazy, low effort trash one way or the other. That's one of the things I learned about Warrant. Like I watched the documentaries about Warrant and So She's My Cherry Pie and Cinderella, which might be Don't Want Nothing But a Good Time. That might be them. I don't know Cinderella's music, but I listen to the documentaries about Warrant and Cinderella, and that was absolutely the case. That was absolutely the case with glam metal, is because they dressed up like girls, which dudes had been doing since the 60s. And so just because the 1980s made a big deal about dudes dressing up like girls and playing music that girls wanted that girls wanted to listen to at the shows, they were told that they were low effort trash. Uh, but the thing about like Warrant, he talks about it. The guy that wrote that song Cherry Pie, he talks about how he hates it. He talked about once how he hates it. He's the cherry pie guy because that wasn't a song that they had put a lot of time and effort into writing. It was a song that the record label asked for, and that wasn't going to be the single. That was not the song that the band wrote to be their radio single. That was selected by the record label without their input. So their most famous song was the song they put the least effort into, low effort trash. They didn't think anybody was ever going to hear it, and then it became the song they were known for. So on a 12 song catalog and an album, you got this one throwaway effortless trash and 11 potential masterpieces that nobody will ever listen to. So why go to the effort? The video did make that song. Yeah, that song became as big as it did because something that people don't understand, and that I intuited because I'm not an idiot, but something that a lot of people don't think about is that MTV made and broke a lot of bands. MTV made a lot of bands because everybody watched MTV in the 80s. It wasn't just a cultural phenomenon, it was a cultural touchstone. If you were a teenager and you were not watching MTV, you were not an American. You were a different kind of person. You were not involved in pop culture. And so yeah, the record labels, the studios would collude with MTV. So like the Gin Blossoms, that song, their first two singles, um, I Know About You or I Learned About You or whatever, it was a cultural sea change. Absolutely. Absolutely. But for good reasons. MTV deserves a lot of praise, a lot of praise. But the Gin Blossoms, their Jealousy and their second song, Jealousy was their first one, and their second one, it's like I learned about you, or I know about you, or I found out about you, maybe. It's called Found Out About You, something like that. Those two songs were written by a guy who wasn't in the band when the record was released. They had a guy in the band who wrote those two songs, but he had a really turbulent problem found out about you. He had a really turbulent problem with alcohol and got fired from the band after writing and recording those 2 songs for the record. Those 2 songs were the 2 songs that the record label wanted to be singles and music videos. So the 2 songs that they're known for were written by and recorded by a dude who wasn't in the band anymore by the time they were out in the public market share, the Gin Blossoms. So the record labels and MTV colluded because MTV wanted good programming. MTV wanted good programming, and the record labels wanted bands in front of eyeballs. So the two absolutely colluded, but it's not bad. It's not bad because a lot of music that would never have made it in front of big audiences, like Pearl Jam, for example, even the Gin Blossoms. A lot of the music that defined the 90s specifically was collusion between record labels and MTV because record album sales were bullshit. The only way that bands made money was through was through touring, was through live shows, and the only way you could get people to come to the live show was to already have an audience waiting for you when you got there. And the only way you could do that since the 1960s was to be a major hit on the radio and MTV. After MTV, the radio was a big deal, but it became less of a big deal after Pantera. Pantera got all their record sales from MTV and touring like motherfuckers. And the way they got people to come to their shows was word of mouth and their kick-ass videos on MTV. MTV got a lot of people a lot of money. It made a lot of people a lot of money. It made a lot of people a lot of careers, and then they just stopped. And what really happened is people stopped wanting to direct music videos, and music videos became overexpensive pop art trash, or porn, just explicitly softcore porn, and so they became impossible to watch in the living room. But the music that was being made was also impossible to listen to with your parents. You really couldn't listen to Christina Aguilera and Britney Spears with your parents. Not that you could listen to bands like 3 Eye Blind or Third Eye Blind or Gin Blossoms or like a band that I really like, Stone Temple Pilots. They got in a lot of trouble for their lyrics were considered sexually explicit. Sex Type Thing was considered a sexually explicit song in the 90s. Yeah, the tape sharing extended to MTV music videos. It absolutely did. It absolutely did. Nobody talks about it anymore. But the mixtapes, but of VHS from MTV, major cultural thing that nobody talks about. Nobody talks about it because nobody references it in movies and TV. But it happened. Absolutely, it happened. I knew people like that song, Take On Me. That music video was a cultural phenomenon, and I had an aunt who had a copy of that on VHS. She loved that music video. I love the art form of music videos. A well shot and not necessarily choreographed, but edited music video is true art. Telling a visual story in 3 minutes is hard. Michael Jackson's music videos were trash, but the reason they were beloved is because they were epics. It was like 7 minutes. But they were good as gold. Yeah. It's stupid to watch today, but it was a 7-minute horror movie epic right at the height of the campy horror movie. We think of drive-ins from the 60s and 70s as being the height of campy movies, but the horror movie VHS horror movie trading and rentals was actually the thing. That's when horror movies were at their height. That was in the 1980s, and Thriller was absolutely homaging that. He was absolutely, Michael Jackson was paying a nod to it. That's why Vincent Price is in it. What's up, C. Brian? How you doing, buddy? And November Rain. Yeah, the music video for that. Iconic. Yeah. And a lot of these bands took the music videos very seriously. Metallica took their music videos very seriously. They wrote one for the music video. They didn't compose it and edit the song. What I'm saying is that they wrote it with the music video in mind. A lot of bands did. Cherry Pie was written with the music video in mind. The singer ended up dated that model, and he hand selected her to be the girl in the video. A lot of guys. This was a thing. Thank you, Life for Food. Happy Sunday to you as well. We made it. It was a whole thing. We don't talk about it today because my generation wants to poo-poo the things that were cool 5 or 7 years before we were born or before we were aware of what was cool. Yeah. I'm envious. I'm envious. The transition from the 80s into the 90s must have been an absolutely wild and just magical time to have been a young adult or adolescent. Like, one of the things that I like to watch is the documentaries that include crazy contests that MTV threw. And MTV threw absolutely crazy and irresponsible contests that made billions of dollars. And cumulatively in the long term, billions. To be a teenager in the 80s and early 90s was to be alive. One of the contests they threw was Pantera at the height of their drinking, their binge drinking and pill popping, at the height of their mania as a band. They threw a fucking contest where they sent out 4 buses to 4 contest winners, and one of those buses had Pantera in it. Crazy by Aerosmith, yeah. I don't know that video. I would like to know more about Aerosmith's career, but that's a big documentary, and the guy that I watched hasn't done anybody interesting like that. And Pantera legitimately hung out at this fucking redneck's house all day, and everybody was trashed. And it was just MTV's like, hey, this is cool. This is just what rock stars are like. This is just what it's like to have a lot of money and nothing to do all day. And it was okay. It wasn't okay. Like, nobody thought it was okay, but it was also like, well, it's one day in these kids' lives. And that's just how people treated excess behavior back then. It's like, well, it's just one day in your life. Wake up the next day and don't do it again. And now we just don't encourage that at all. We encourage finding a way to sustain it every single day. Yeah, the real world. Complete reckless abandon. Total irresponsible abandon. Totally irresponsible. MTV did things that were completely irresponsible. All of them were publicity stunts, because who really gives a shit when your audience, who gives a shit about the audience backlash when the audience is average age 13? The answer is today, all of them. All of them give a shit what 13-year-olds say, because 13-year-olds will listen to the 19-year-olds, and the 19-year-olds are listening to the fucking blue hairs that are getting liberal arts degrees. And they say crazy shit. MTV Spring Break, Girls Gone Wild, completely irresponsible behavior. They did eventually get sued. They did get eventually class action sued for selling those girls' naked bodies without a waiver or their any awareness at all that they were being filmed. Completely irresponsible behavior, but totally normal. Totally normalized. We used to get our news from MTV News, yeah. I learned about Kurt Cobain from the one and only time I ever watched MTV News. The one time I defied my parents and turned on MTV News was the day Kurt Cobain died. Happened one time before I was a teenager. But the thing is, I've seen these documentaries. MTV News was legitimate. It was a legitimate, they provided legitimate news, invoicing that teenagers could understand current events. It was legitimate newscasting. Carson Daly has gone on to have a legitimate broadcasting career after Total Access. MTV might have been silly, and it might have played for teenagers, but it was a legitimate network, is the argument I'm trying to make. And it legitimately made a lot of people, it made them a lot of people money, a lot of people that wouldn't have made money otherwise. You're dumb, Chris. Thank you for that. I wasn't trying to make a hierarchy of value or legitimacy among newscasters. I'm saying that in the 80s and 90s, MTV was responsible about presenting the information and current events, invoicing that teenagers could understand. Because MTV was irresponsible in a lot of ways. But we did get they did talk about the Cold War on MTV. They did talk about current events. I don't know this from personal experience. I know it because I see it in these documentaries. That MTV wasn't just jerking off in your face. It wasn't just showing you, it wasn't the things that Tipper Gore said it was. It wasn't showing you nudity. It wasn't showing you lewd behavior. It wasn't showing you inappropriate things for young people to see. It was showing you life. It was showing you the lived experience of many of the artists that were on the MTV were your own age. Was Radio Killed the Video Star? Or Video Killed the Radio Star? Yeah, Rach. They did that on purpose. MTV did that on purpose. Because that song was a lot older. That song is a lot older than MTV. And MTV reached out to him and said, "Hey, we're going to be making this television station. Will you make us a music video? We'll open with you." Well, sure, Chris. The network was not subversive. The network wasn't subversive. Many of the bands were our ages. They were teenagers and adolescents, many of the bands. So a lot of the cultural rebellion and the countercultural cries against the authority of what was happening in the 80s and 90s in politics were legitimate satire, parody, and irony. They were legitimate artistic they were legitimate art. But we were kids. And that's what I'm saying, is that MTV had value. Because while it was showing you this music video, it was also showing you a lot of art, and it was showing you a lot of the world. Like I was talking today about how the white kids here in rural Zanesville flip fluidly depending on their emotion between or among different regional African American dialects and accents, different voicings, even the way they shape their faces and their mouths. And the reason isn't MTV. The reason is because they're able to focus only on culture pockets. So they're able to only watch rappers, only watch people from parts of the United States that are majority African American. And so doing that, they imitate them. With MTV, you couldn't do that because you would get the Police, and you would get Green Day, and you would get Pearl Jam, and you would get fucking Leonard Skinner. I mean, the range of music that was on MTV was so wide, and they did such a good job. I remember just sitting and watching TV watching MTV and watching just how wide the range of musical styles was, even in 2003. And so I know that was the case in 2008 because rap made major inroads because of music videos. Radio wouldn't play it. I'm glad that you like Blondie. MTV did a lot of good. A lot of the reason that we have bad music now is because there isn't a singular place that you can go to. I don't think video killed radio because what killed, because terrestrial radio remained a thing in homes, and it remained a thing in cars, and it remained a thing at the workplace. What killed radio was bad business. Radio refused to transition with the internet. I also learned the other day that Megadeth was the first of all music acts in the entire world. Megadeth was the first to have a website to market their music. That's why they're so huge in South America. They were the only band that was accessible internationally at a click. And it was a woman's idea. Who knew? For people that insist that women are just have terrible ideas in business, she's like, well, what about this new internet thing? Has anybody ever tried that? And they were like, no. And so she made a website that was basically she made a video game. She gave out like free video games for somebody, Megadeth or somebody, at Best Buy. So you come and you buy the CD from Best Buy and you get a free video game of the band or whatever it was. I don't remember exactly the setup. And that did absolute fucking bonkers gangbusters. It sold like fucking hotcakes. And she's like, well, why not a website? And it worked. Everybody does today. Like, most people don't even retail their music. They sell it directly to the audience in a digital store. A lot of people insist that women are terrible at business. Yeah, well, computing as a science was invented by a woman that was reached towards. She was the first person to think, well, why don't we just have a machine that does this thinking for us? The first person to ever think that thought was a woman. I don't think there are a lot of idiots. I think that oftentimes, Chris, that women are just terrible at business. But there's an exception to every rule, and she was impressive. Yeah, Ada Lovelace. I wouldn't know her name. And there are a lot of people that think that women are naturally bad at computing. And to Rachel's point, it was actually human computers, and they were all female who got us to the moon. When I didn't say that women are useless. I said there are a lot of people that think they're just absolute garbage in business and have no place there, and it's just not true. Individual women, like individual men, can be really good at things, and surprisingly good. Surprising that nobody thought, well, nascent technology, we're trying to sell to children. Children are on nascent technology, market through nascent technology. Like, we all wanted to get cynical and like, oh, it's just a stupid cash grab when Rock Band and Guitar Hero came out. But imagine if Rock Band and Guitar Hero had been staples of video games since arcades. Maybe, Chris. Doug Dimmadome of the Dimsdale. What's the name of your team? I can't remember. Sure, Chris. I might have been being euphemistic. The Dimsdale Dimmadome. That's that show. I was talking to Mr. S about this the other day. That show and Jimmy Neutron marked a major pivot point, as far as children's television, because those two shows succeeded so well at getting kids to watch psychedelic weirdness. Everything since then is just psychedelic nonsense. But I didn't like the Danny Phantom or whatever, but the Fairly Odd Parents is one of the best. I never liked SpongeBob, but the Fairly Odd Parents is good shit. It's nice to make your acquaintance, Doug. I've been a fan for a long, long time. Isn't he Doug Dimmadome, if I remember right? He's a Jerry Jones. He's like a Jerry Jones parody, right? I know he's like a heavyset Texan type with the hat. I never liked SpongeBob. I just never liked that show. As far as the guy who plays SpongeBob's voice, I prefer him as the Winter King or whatever, Frost King. I always thought that was so funny because I knew Jerry Jones as a kid. I don't know what that is. Is it? I don't know how that's pronounced. Is it Fido Dido? Typical. Rage. Yeah, I know he's supposed to be like an oil duck guy, and I know he's heavy set. So his body, and I know his language. He doesn't do the. I can't do a Jerry impression. I've never tried to do a Jerry impression. He doesn't act like, and he's not an obvious opaque Jerry parody. But as a kid, I always thought it was so funny that he's supposed to be Jerry Jones. He's like that world's insert version of Jerry Jones, who also just happens to have the build of a used car salesman, which I think is funny. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm trying not to crack up just at the setup, being able to put that in a kids TV show, having the balls to put it in a kids TV show and it be opaque enough that a kid. I grew up with football. Before I grew up with cartoons. I watched a lot more NFL football and football related television than I did cartoons as a kid. And so it was opaque enough that I was able to recognize it as an early teen, but it's veiled enough that if Jerry just saw it, it wouldn't offend him. I think that's so courageous. That is so courageous. I know that cartoons are about that, and that cartoons are about having that courage, but I always thought that for me, that was always a bridge too far, for me to do in my own work. At that age, I found it so courageous. Like, I could never do anything like that. That guy has so much money. What if he gets mad? And then a true artist goes, I don't care. If it's funny, if people laugh, and it's true to the character, and it makes sense in the world environment, I don't care if he gets mad. He's in our world environment. Yeah, he's the kind of person that makes me wonder, like, when being oneself eclipses self-parody, where like you're so true to your own character that you become a parody of your own character. Because parody doesn't have to be mean-spirited. Satire tends to be mean-spirited, in my mind. And maybe that's the difference, Doug. I don't see Doug Dimmadome I don't see him being a mean-spirited joke. I don't remember any mean-spirited jokes in that show, actually. I think that might have been why I liked it. I don't like mean-spirited comedy. Hey, thank you, Mayruff. Take care. Yeah, and I was watching it at a higher level anyway, because I was a little bit older, and I was already well on my path to being me. So I was already overthinking everything I was watching. And I remember that show just being really lighthearted. Like even when they make fun of Arnold, it's like because Arnold is somebody that we all know, so he's an archetype that makes sense here. Arnold becomes in his own right an archetype of a person of a certain kind of performer, a certain type of body type and performance of an archetypical character. And I know that Arnold's not exactly an actor, but I do wish he was in more things. Like, not as the star. Wish he was just in stuff. But Hollywood's different now. Stars from the 80s and 90s and before, you were either the lead or you weren't in it. So like ensemble movies, like The Replacements or the Marvel stuff, that was unthinkable back then. Maybe, Chris. Like Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt and the guy who played Cable, and I'm trying to think of some other short kings that people really like from that are like that age group. It would really be very difficult to get them in an equal billing talkie, for example. Fair enough, Chris. That's true. Yes, Rach, but they were all young. I think that made more careers than it did than it was focused on an individual star, except maybe what's his name? Cerebral palsy was in that movie, right? Thank you. I didn't notice the misspelling. Yeah, ensemble. It's French, Rachy. Ensemble. True facts, Marty. I'm not sure that Steven's not useless. I don't know what Steven's role within the company is. He does a lot of whenever he stands in front of a microphone. So I don't really know what Steven's role is. Yeah, Michael. Ian Black. Yeah, Michael Ian Black from Back to the Future. There's one person out there who knows who I'm talking about. Matthew Broderick. Michael J. Fox. Hey, there we got there. He wasn't in Breakfast Club anyway, was he? Okay, if there are Michael Ian Black fans out there, I really like Michael Ian Black. I think he's really funny. Stella is one of my very favorite things in the whole world. They're so dumb. I like Michael Showalter better. Just for anybody who knows the Michael versus Michael references. But for any Michael Ian Black fans, the MIB version of Back to the Future is a movie I would watch. Somebody get a hold of him and tell him to green screen himself into that movie as Marty. Actually do all the characters. Just be a different movie. I can't do an impression or anything like that. Michael J. Fox was Teenage Werewolf. No, help me. We're trying to get at whether Breakfast Club had a star in it when it was released, or whether that made the careers of those actors. Also, I hear that you can see titties on YouTube if you watch that movie. Was it that movie or Fast Times at Ridgemont High? What movie were you watching for titties the other day, Rachie? She was telling me about how she burnt up the tape when she was a girl. Her dad would give her this look because it was stretched out right there from pausing it, rewinding it, and pausing it. And it stretched out the magnet tape. Pretty in pink. There you go. 17 candles. You can see titties on YouTube. If you check out 16 candles, 17 candles. 17-year-old titties, no less. I'm pretty sure the actress was only 16. I know the actress in Fast Times at Ridgemont High was only 16. In that topless scene, she's only 16. And for free, no less. There you go. See you some dangly fat sacks. On the YouTubes, no less. For shame, Google. Hello, Pickaxe. Your username is intense. I am either too stoned or it's just too late in the day for me. I can't tell what those emojis. I can't see all I can see is yellow circles. I can't tell what there's, but what you're trying to communicate to me, Pickaxe. What's his name? Yep. It's the end of that sentence. That's as far as I was going to go with that, and then I realized that I stopped talking. Legolas's friend, the dwarf. What's his name? Is that Gimli? Glowing? Any takers on that? Anyway, Pickaxe. If you capitalize that A, you're that guy. The light is on. There we go. Damn, I was pretty fucking close. Michael Ian Black isn't close at all to Anthony Michael Hall, but I had 3 names. And that's closer than any of you were. Anyway. Thank you, Marty. So there you go, Rachie. That's how they were able to get the Peter Dinklage. Excuse me? I swear to God, if I ever do porn, I finally figured out my porn name. It would absolutely be Peter Danglage. Anyway, that's how they were able to get an ensemble cast. Because they had a female and a male lead who were hot. People wanted to see more of them. And then I'm guessing there were 5 of them. I don't remember. Oh, wait. I don't have to guess. The other 3, that's 5. This is all speculative. I'm sure there's like a documentary. I'm sure somebody's broken this shit down. I don't know. I'm speculating on a thing I noticed. Yeah, Rachie. Well, you know, I crashed out and then I started eating a block of cheese. And then we started talking about the 1980s. And to me, the 1980s are a lot like France. The 1980s are a lot like France. It's always okay to make fun of them. I'm sorry, but the 1980s will never not be funny to me. You wouldn't have seen me dead. You wouldn't have seen me dead. No, they're kind of like France. You wouldn't have seen me dead in those clothes. Actually, you might have, because putting me in them would have been a life or death prop for us both. You might have had to kill me. Thank God we'll never have to know. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and it's going to be 1982. I don't even want this cheese anymore. No. No way. I'm too tall. Heard that. Thank you, Marty. I have so obviously not seen that movie. The only scene I've seen from that movie was the fucking girl making snow out of dandruff, and I turned that shit off. I reacted to that exactly like my granddad would have. Nope. Send that shit back to the fucking wherever. Except it was on TBS or whatever. I don't think that people fully understood that in the 1980s, the reason the girl of status is in every movie isn't necessarily because that's the easiest role to play. It's because that was the girls with the highest likelihood of needing a lesson and the money necessary to go get it. Poor girls, they live lives that teach them their lessons. Daddy's girls don't. You actually didn't like The Breakfast Club? But you like 16 Candles. What's his other one? He's got like 5 of them. Paul Anderson, Hans Christensen. Paul Thomas Anderson? Is that actually his fucking name? Pretty in Pink is the one. Is that still Molly Ringwald? That's the one with the redhead whose best friend is in love with her, and she's like some kind of MacGuffin and works at like a gas station or something. It was on in a laundromat with no sound, so I have no idea what the fuck was going on. What did people think Molly Ringwald was pretty in the 80s? Was she like pretty? I don't know. His name was Ducky. It's kind of a fucking nickname, Ducky. John Hughes. Is there a Paul Thomas Anderson? Is that a real person? Record store. Okay. What was it about her? I don't find her attractive. Was it that she wasn't particularly attractive, or was she like, wow, she's attractive? What was it like in the 80s? Because I know you had your the models. I know that models were a much bigger cultural thing. So was it like models were a certain kind of hotness and actresses were a different kind of hotness and porn stars were the least hottest? Thank you, Rach. Paul Thomas Anderson is a real person. Thank you. I don't know where the hell that name came from. Actually, that's 3 names in that order. I don't know where it came from in my brain, but there you go. That was in that time period. Am I understanding? I'm trying to recreate what it was like to live in that time period because I didn't experience it. Was there a hierarchy of hotness? And that's why in the 90s, when models started making movies, everything fell apart? Like you're only supposed to be like a 7 on screen, but you can be 8 to 10 as a model, but you're really supposed to be like a 6 or a 4 if you're shooting porn back then? These are real questions. These are real questions, and they're asked from ignorance. I don't understand the model thing. There were a lot more models, just models, famous for being models in the 80s than there are now. Most certainly than there are now. I feel dumb. I feel dumb for asking because maybe it's not. I know it's something that I would have been discouraged from asking at home as a child. Okay, the female rock stars. I forget about. Yeah, you had the female rock stars, and you also had the pop stars. That might be the exact question that I'm asking, Marty. Is pretty something that regular girls have after a certain point, and I would have only experienced that in visual media. And hotness is what people in visual media are supposed to have. They're supposed to be hot. Cyndi Lauper was the name I've been trying to get to. Yeah. And Blondie. Wasn't Blondie? That was a lady band, right? the lady rock stars were hangovers, holdovers, or began, I guess I should say, in the 70s too, in the late 70s, because you still in the 80s you still had the women from Fleetwood Mac running around. Cher, Madonna. Now, here's a question I recognize might be very stupid. How many people in the 80s were famous just because they were famous? Yeah, right. Exactly, Rachie. The smoking hot women in the before times, if we're trying to find a line that is before and after, the smoking hot women were selling products. That's all they were doing, was selling a product. And there was a tacit acknowledgement of that in the 80s where a lot of dudes fell in love with those women because they wanted to know them as women. That's not a thing anymore. That hasn't been a thing. I don't know that that was a thing when I was a kid. So there might be a line at the late 80s, early 90s that something might have happened. Like it might be Halle Berry happened. I don't know. Hypothesizing, so I can. The way it works is you make a hypothesis and then you falsify for those who don't know how I work. And I ask a question and I seek the answer because not everybody here might not have been a sociologist. I'm just trying to crowdsource your memories of a time period I didn't exist in. I'm doing all right, Johnny. I'm cold. The swimsuit edition isn't what it was, even when I was in high school, Rach. The swimsuit was softcore porn. The Princess of Monaco, heard that, Marty? Now it's body positive, which is fine, but it's a different kind of um, photographic art. It's just a different kind of art altogether than it used to be. It used to be explicitly semi-nude. But a lot changed for the better. I mean, you used to be able to buy porn, hardcore porn mags right beside Cosmo in the checkout aisles of gas stations and grocery stores. So a lot has changed for the positive. Yeah. Beautiful now is overweight but managing it is where we're at right now. Well, yeah, you go watch movies to learn about the culture, to see the story, and we used to be taught to seek moral and meaning in the movies that we watch, and then our parents told us not to. Yeah, for sure, Rach. Well, if you've ever actually thumbed through a Playboy, it's hard to even maintain arousal by the time you get to the end of the pictures that you wanted to see. There's maybe 4 or 5 pages in the whole magazine that have nudity in them. In the articles, it's a joke, but the articles, Playboy, what's his name? He made a big deal about making the publication legitimate as far as what was in it, what was being written. How serious any individual took that is up to that individual, but what's his name? Red fucking it's like Hal was Hustler. These were household names in the 80s and 90s too. He made a big deal about it being a legitimate publication. And you can take that as seriously as you take it. I'm not asking anybody to take the perspective that he did. I'm just presenting it. Hef, thank you, Hugh. I had the right letter. That was close. I would have got it with a hand grenade. Yeah. He took it seriously. Whether you do is irrelevant to me. I don't care. It's not a magazine I would ever spend money on. Hello, Jean. Is there a Las Vegas? Maybe there is. Not in Nevada. But I guess if you were to say, hello from London, I'd be like, which one? There are like 3 of them in Ohio. Three hours. Are you going to bed, Rachie? I was just thinking I needed to start charging my stuff. If I was going to keep this up. And if you guys are starting to get fatigued, then maybe I just get comfortable and I go to bed. And maybe I don't worry about trying to record a Kingdoms of Amalur tonight. Maybe I don't feel like it. Or maybe I do feel like it, but I'm afraid I'm gonna, because I'm so itchy and everything is frustrating me, I'm gonna get upset while recording, and that's gonna not be a good, it's not gonna be a good show. So maybe I just do some grinding in 7 days. Whatever I do, I guess now is the time to transition to it. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for spending time with me, for pushing through my frustration, my own personal limitations, large or small as you may perceive them. Thank you. I watch a lot of other people's material lately. I've been trying to watch how other people engage with you guys, how other people talk to you. So while I bundle up my jacket, that, Rachie, while I've got you here, this isn't a sales pitch. My Patreon doesn't keep the channel alive, okay? My Patreon is an opportunity for the people who love that my work exists to get more of it, and it's also a place where, especially if you have the app, you can communicate with, engage with, and continue doing all of the things you do here on YouTube and all of the other social media platforms that you engage with. It's just one other icon on your phone to check as you're going through your correspondence in the day. That's how I think of it. I check the Patreon every day. I used because I was on Twitter and I was using my Patreon to support myself as I was preparing for homelessness with a stable income, so I knew how much money I had to eat on. That was $25 for a very long time, but for a while, what I was doing is I would wake up, and I tend to have an obsessive thought that follows me through the day, and I would just put it in the chat on Patreon. See what happened. Now that didn't move very often. It moved a little bit and then it stopped. And so I don't do that anymore. But that's the kind of thing that I would do if it were moving. And so really what I would say is that if you're asking yourself, how can I support the channel? How can I make sure that Shaggy moves into the next stage of his life on equal footing with his partner? How can I make sure that the investment and the reinvestment in the channel and the growth and skill sets continues in a way that I benefit, not me, Shaggy, you? The best way that you can make sure that the channel grows and that you have a hand in it is through the Patreon. But if you don't want to, or you don't feel like having that recurring $5 or $10, I think is the lowest that I have on my Patreon. If you don't want to hit that 10, you don't want that recurring coming out to some other place, then I would recommend YouTube Plus, the premium, whatever it's called, the subscription directly to YouTube, so you don't have to watch ads on my material. I get more money that way. If you're worried about how can I support the channel, how can I sustain the channel, and how can I see Shaggy draw an income at this that sees him in level footing with the people that want to produce the channel, how can I be like them? How can I not see Shaggy as somebody who needs charity? The second step that I would go through is I would have YouTube Plus, because it's just better for you. You don't have to deal with ads, and whether my videos are monetized or not, I still get YouTube dollars from Google for the YouTube Plus or Premium or whatever it's called viewers. I get pennies per minute that YouTube subscribers, paid subscribers to YouTube, watch, whether my material is ad revenue or not, because you're not watching ads. If that doesn't feel like enough for you, I've got the membership here on the channel, and I am doing a members only series for the channel. The first episode of the members only series is available to the public. That's my Kingdoms of Amalur series. You'll find it right there in my videos. But all of the subsequent episodes of that, until I go back and I retouch it up to shorten it from hour and a half or however long I record in a session to 20-minute videos, until I go back and shorten it into 20 or 30-minute little videos, that's only going to be available to the members. And if you want to see the things, some of the things that I think are funny, I made a few shorts from the Kingdoms of Amalur episode 2, which is members only. And the members only is $5 a month. And the more of those little stars, like what Rachel's there, the more stars I see there, the more I can just start to make members only material. Not in toto, but confident, right? Confident that it's going to get eyeballs and that I don't have to worry about the eyeballs that I get when it goes public. That's what every artist wants. That's what every channel is looking for. And if you want to do even less than those things, if you want to do even less, because maybe you think you don't have dollars to contribute, maybe you think you're right on the edge of joining me in a tent somewhere near a woods, okay? All you have to do is tell anybody that you know, hey, check out Shaggy's stuff. His second name is impossible to spell, and it's impossible to pronounce because it's Greek, but you should check it out. That, we were talking about music and why MTV did as well as MTV did. It was the tape sharing and the VHS sharing that actually moved music in the 80s and the 90s. It was word of mouth. It was people listening to a band and telling their friends, you got to listen to this band. And their friends taking the time to listen to it. So if you want to take away from Shaggy today, if you want to feel like you took something from me and it didn't cost you anything except for your time, I would recommend actually watching that video your friend sent you. And if your friends don't watch your shit, get better friends. If you're sending your friends shorts from TikTok, music that you like, and you can tell they're not listening to it, get better friends. Or be a better friend. Because we tend, in fact, to mirror the people around us. So if our friends aren't being good friends to us, it might mean that we stopped being a good friend to them and didn't notice. It might. It doesn't have to, but it might. So I would just recommend watching that video. Because there's somebody in your red right now, in your red messages right now, on Discord, on Reddit, on TikTok, on Twitter, on Blue Sky, on YouTube, in your group messages right now, somewhere in your life, you have a red message from somebody who sent you a link to something that you didn't watch. If you wanted to take something away from me tonight for free, I would recommend that you take the time to watch it. I'm not saying I watch every single thing that is sent to me the moment it is sent to me. If he's out there, Quaz, Mr. S, he can tell you that I hit the, shit, I forgot to watch that and totally thought I did, and sorry, I'm watching it now. I know it's been 3 days. I'm sorry, the day after your birthday isn't your birthday, Mr. S. You're totally right. I fucked up. I'm not a good friend. Just whatever. Something that a friend shared with you, T-Rex. I'm not perfect at this. Jules, if you're out there, I think I'm saying responses to the things you say, and then I go and I look and it's like, fuck, I didn't even let her know that I'd read it. So, something I'm working on too. But it pays dividends. It pays dividends. And I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that your life is going to magically turn around because you started volunteering first. It's not. In fact, if you're not smart in what you volunteer for, you'll be right here. You will, whether you think you are on the precipice today of being homeless or not. If you're too forthright, if you're too giving, if you volunteer for things too many times, you will be here. It is hurtful, T-Rex. It is hurtful. And it's family. It's just, what do you do about it? You just move on. But if it's your friends, they might not be your friends. They might be somebody else's friends. You might just be someone they know. And forgiveness, I think a lot of people get this wrong. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you have to continue to give people opportunities to hurt you. Forgiving someone for wrongdoing might mean making sure they can never do it again. It's like if every time you give your friend your keys and let them borrow your car, right? They do some damage to it. Forgiving them for the damage might also mean never letting them behind the wheel again. I don't know what that is, T-Rex, but I am trying to go to bed, so we'll talk about that tomorrow. Just put a pin in that, buddy. Put a post-it note somewhere so you can remember to talk to me about the K-shape economy. I've never heard of that. And if I get off of here to go to bed early, I'm not going to research it, buddy. I'm not going to remember, because I'm going to go to bed, and then I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to remember anything that happened today. And then Rachie is going to have to remind me of the things that matter to me moving into the future. And none of you see that part of the Philaletheia. But it is. Thank you, Rachie. I know you're not saying that for me. You're saying it, you're addressing it to me, but it's for the room. That's called testimony. Look, you don't have to have a lifelong dream in order to chase a dream. And the moment you start chasing it, it's yours. I don't think people really appreciate that. That the human brain, it's going to take ownership of the thing it's chasing after. And so if halfway down the road to becoming the rock star that you desperately want to be right now, you realize, I don't think I want to do this 40 hours a day for the next 10,000 hours. That's okay too. It's okay. People are going to be disappointed. Somebody's going to find a reason to be disappointed with you for something, no matter what you do. So I would just aim at doing the best you can. Because not every environment you're going to be in is going to be interested in doing the best that it can. Like we were talking about the Cowboys, and we were talking about NFL football. Not everybody's drafted to a team that wants to win a Super Bowl this year. So just remember to do the best you can, develop your skills, and if you want the team to be there for you, you got to be there for the team. It's like something that I learned doing this, and then I'm done, is that if I want people to watch my stuff, every once in a while I got to tune into theirs. I don't know who Gilbert and Sullivan are, so I don't think I would give you advice that specific, Marty. But if we talked it out, that's probably what I'm talking about. Yeah. There are a lot of people in your life who need you a lot more than you need them. That's something that I've learned. just observing the people who come into my proximity and stay is that they deserve a lot better than the people in their lives give them. And I'm just here to tell you that sometimes that's okay. You can't change people. You can do your best, right? And some nights my best is 255 gyms and uh, some new subs and a happy girlfriend and uh, happy acquaintances, good vibes, and I only crash out once, right? Some nights, a good night is $200. It's not about the reward. It's not about the reward for me. And I would just so strongly advocate that the reward will come if you just do your best, even when it's the most difficult thing you've ever done, and you know you're getting worse. Because that's what practice does. Sometimes when you practice, you just sound like shit. You just get worse. We've all sat down to play a Super Mario Brothers game, a video game, whatever game that we know we're good at, and we're just hot garbage on a tin roof. We've all been there. Some days are just like that shit. I've been like that shit all day. I just one forgotten to take breath away from absolute rage. I could have got up. I literally could have just thrown that fucking keyboard in the garbage and moved on with my life. But I didn't, because it's not worth that. I believe in you guys. I'm tired. I'm going to bed now. I believe in you. You've got it in you. It's just about doing it when it's the hardest. And that's good sex advice, too. Take care, guys.